From the Detroit Free Press, I'm Robin Chan with today's Voice Briefing. It's Friday, June 20th, 2025.
I'm Paul Egan reporting for the Detroit Free Press. The Michigan Attorney General's office raided the Lansing headquarters of the state's Economic Development Agency Wednesday, as well as a private home in Farmington Hills. Attorney General Dana Nessel wouldn't say what the search warrants were about, but the Free Press confirmed that investigators were at the home of Faye Baydoun, whose nonprofit received a controversial $20 million grant from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation in 2022. Farmington Hills neighbors of Baydoun said they saw police vehicles and file boxes. She has not been charged with any crime and could not be reached for comment. The Detroit News reported earlier that early purchases with the grant money made by Global Link International included a $4,500 coffee maker. Baydoun is a former vice chair of the Michigan Democratic Party.
I'm Khalil El-Hajjel, Deputy Opinion Editor at the Free Press. Detroit's annual Ford Fireworks Show takes place next Monday night. Prime viewing areas right along the Detroit River include Hart Plaza and Belle Isle. But what about the rest of Detroit's riverfront? Irma Henderson Park, Gabriel Richard Park, Riverside Park, Milliken State Park, the Riverwalk. Well, they'll all be closed to the public. Police will block them off before spectators can set up from any of those locations. That's how it's been for a number of years now. And while many hope that might change this year, it's just not in the cards this time. Detroit police say they considered opening 2 of those additional parks this year, but couldn't quite get the safety resources together in time for Monday. What it would take, police say, would be hundreds of barricades, a weapons detection setup, and extra patrol staffing. That's because in some past years, there have been shootings in the large, hot summer crowds that gather on fireworks night, and the city has since taken some extraordinary measures to isolate and closely monitor those dense crowds. It's been frustrating for many Detroiters who've been turned away from their own neighborhood parks on the very night they'd most like to use them. Police officials have acknowledged those frustrations and say they're working on finding a way to open more of those parks. But to do it safely, Assistant Police Chief Frederick Hayes says it'll take an effort that would look a lot like the Angels Night initiatives of the past, when community groups all over the city pitched in resources and helped patrol neighborhoods to prevent the arsons that for years plagued the city on what was once known as Devil's Night. Those efforts paid off. Devil's Night is no more, and city officials are hoping a similar all-hands-on-deck sort of effort to gather resources and staffing from all around the city could help usher in broader park access on fireworks night. It's a plan that's still in its early stages, but police have promised to open at least one more park for next year's show. More at freep.com/opinion.
Hey there, everybody. This is Omari Sankofa II, Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. On this week's episode of our podcast, The Pistons Post, Bryce Simon and I were joined by Sam Veciti of The Athletic and Game Theory to break down the Pistons' options in free agency and with the 37th overall pick. Here's a quick snippet of our conversation.
If Fleming drops to 29 like you have in your mock, could you see a fit with the Pistons if they decide to move up from 37? So, what are your thoughts about Rasheer Fleming?
I would love him at 37. I'll say that. Like, genuinely, I would love him at 37. I would be willing to move up to like probably 32 even to get Rasheer Fleming. I don't really see him as like a guy to trade up into the first round for. I don't love the feel for the game stuff. But the funny thing is that the player I've compared him to for the last few months is a guy that I feel like I've said his name 45 times on this episode, Bobby Portis. Like, it's very similar to me in terms of guy that, you know, can step away and shoot a little bit. Not the most like instinctual, intuitive player on the court in terms of his defensive rotations, can be a little bit foul prone, right? Bobby can certainly play a little bit physically, doesn't really see the court all that well as a passer or playmaker, doesn't, I would argue, like process it super well, but is tough, is physical, has an NBA frame, super athlete, and can make it work that way. You know what I mean? Like, I would love Rasheer Fleming at 37 for the Pistons if he got there. And like, if they had to move up to 31 and like get to the turn or something, I'd totally be willing to do that if I was them.
You can hear that full conversation in this week's episode of The Pistons Post, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, you can find our latest coverage on freep.com/sports.
Find more from the Detroit Free Press on freep.com. That's FREEP.com. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, and you'll hear more from us Monday.